Hey everyone. One of the things that has come to my attention as I have been looking at my data output here is that I ended up with a lot more rows than I expected. We can see actually here that rows 2 and 3 actually seem to be multiple instances. We see these weird characters and what looks like, of course, our favorite thing are mouse dropping indications. For the purposes of this exercise, we're gonna remove that column. And it's always tricky when you're dealing with those funky characters. If we look at it in Excel again, we can see we have these sort of strange, these accented characters, which are clearly causing trouble for our read lines. Now, a little bit more digging, we might be able to get to the exact thing where we could actually like pull this out. But again, for the purposes of this exercise, hopefully you won't encounter that very often, although obviously we did here. So what I'm going to do is again, for the purposes of this exercise, I'm just going to remove this column. Sad though I am to see it go with all of its exciting information in it, and just work with our version. We'll come back to that, but just to kind of move through the main task at hand. So I've now saved a new copy of it. I'm going to go ahead and run my debug script, and now I get something that looks much more sensible to me. I get the number of rows that I expect for one thing, and I don't see any sort of strange wrapping happening on here. So the next step, so if I return to my sort of instructions that I'm trying to follow here, for every row in my data set, locate the column with phone number in it. So I can actually do this now that I know, locate the column with phone number in it. And I have gone through every row in my data set, and I can find out the number, the index or position of the column with phone number in it just by counting here, right? So I can go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Because I know that this is a list, right? This is a comma separated value. I'm going to have to actually explicitly tell it to separate it by commas. So we're kind of doing the bit that we usually do when we open, right as we open in Refine. We're actually doing a little bit later. But I'm going to make a note for myself that first of all, that the header row is row 0. And then I'm also going to note that phone column is index 6, right? So I've now printed my row and my row num. So in order to get this, what is right now just one single line of text that happens to have commas in it, transformed into an actual list, I'm going to use that split function that we looked at. We saw this in class, that there's very often this this built-in function called split that lets us split strings into lists. So I'm just going to say, okay, give me my row, and now I want to actually assign this to something. So I'm going to say, okay, I want values list, maybe row val list is a better one. Row val list, okay, it's going to be row.split. And then I'm going to put my comma in there, right? Because I want it. This is the part where I tell it to split each row into a list using a comma, using commas, right? Okay, so I've done that. Now what I can do is actually say, okay, now what I want to itemize each value in that row, right? I want to know what position it's at, and I want to know the value. So I'm going to say for item num, right, which is the position, or maybe I could say for position and value in, and again I have to do this enumerate row val list, right? That looks correct. Now instead of printing, so I can actually use my hashtag, right, to actually comment out code when I don't want to use that particular code anymore. Or for the moment, right, I might want to use it later, so rather than deleting it and retyping it, I can actually just comment it out and then uncomment it later if I want to use it. So I'm going to say for row, position, value, so for position and value, right, so position is going to be the position as in like 0, 1, 2, 3, in the list, and then value, which is the actual value in it, in in this row val list, which is the row that's now been split into a list, I want to print, let's see, I want to print position probably and value and see what I get. I have a feeling it's going to be quite long. That's okay. So, looks pretty good. Looks like a lot. And we actually, this is the first time that we're going to get kind of a handle on how many columns of data we have. We have quite a few columns of data. This count goes up to 46 every single time. So one thing I'm going to note here is that I'm going to say, hey, you know what? The index or the position of the last data column is 46. Now, it's a little bit of a mystery why we might care about that right now, but I promise we'll clarify that. So I'm just using this print statement to spit out some information and understand a little bit about my data set. So now, back up to my number 2. For every row in my data set, locate the column with phone number in it. So how am I going to locate this? Well, actually, it's not too hard now because I can see where that number 6 is. So position is going to tell me which column it is. If the position is 6, then I know that I'm in the phone column. So I can actually just say if position equals 6, then what do I want to do? Well, in this case, I want to apply my regular expression. So I'm just going to write this in, just as pseudocode right now. I want to apply my regex. I don't have my regular expression right now, but I will in a moment. So if the position equals 6, then I want to, apply regex. Otherwise, well, what do I want to do if it's not? I really just want to print out the value. Right? If position equals 6, else. Right? So this is how I say if it does this. Sorry, and this equals. When we have one equal sign, it means assignment, right? We talked about how it's like this is the stuff you put in that box. Equals is say, I want you to compare these two, weigh them next to each other and see if they're the same. So at the point that position equals 6, we should get this apply regex, whatever that code's going to be. We'll get to in a minute. And if it's not 6, then, well, what I want you to do, I want you to just print out the value, right? Because I need to continue to print out the data values that I already have into my new file. I don't want to leave them out just because they don't fit my regex. So what are you complaining about here? I also was expecting indent. Oh, so this is complaining, I'm going to say print. I'm actually going to say apply regex. So one of the things is that Python, if you have just a comment there, then it doesn't understand you've actually written any code and it's going to complain at you. So you can just put that print statement in there. So if the position equals 6, print apply regex, and I'm actually going to put in plus value. So remember we talked about concatenation, how we can sort of add, quote unquote, add together two strings. So we can do that here. Value is our string of what's in our data column. So it's a string, even though it's a variable name. And then I can just kind of have this apply regex as a way to flag it for myself. So let's see what happens now. So what I want to look for is where I'm trying to apply my regex. And indeed, it looks like I'm correctly singling out my my phone number column, which is what I want to be doing. So now the question is, how do I apply my regex? Well, we're going to actually pop up back to the top here because regular expressions in Python require a separate library. So we've talked a little bit about how we can sort of pull in additional recipe books or dictionaries in order to kind of augment our code, make more, let us do more things without having to write as much. So regular expressions, the part of Python that understands regular expressions actually isn't always in use. So we have to explicitly tell it that we want to use regular expressions. And to do that, we say import RE, the dictionary RE, which stands for regular expression. And now I'm going to create something. So it's going to be test 212 regex. It's kind of a long name, but that's okay. And that's going to be the name, that's going to be the variable name of my regular expression. And it's going to, I now have this command called recompile, which basically means, go ahead and look for, create this regular expression. So We use this re-compile with parentheses and double quotes in Python, the same way we use the forward slashes in OpenRefine. And so in this case, I'm going to say, well, you know what, I just want you to look for, in fact, I always know that it's going to appear at the beginning or near the beginning. So maybe I can try, let's see if this works. So I'm going to say any character 212 and then any character any number of times. Hopefully that will work. We'll find out. And the way that we can find out if it does work is we can come back down here and actually try to apply our regex to our data. To do that, sorry, just one second. Sorry. So to do that, we are going to we're going to actually use a match function, believe it or not, on our data. So I'm going to say if position equals 6, right? If position is 6, then the first thing I want to say is if my test 212 regex, it's kind of long, match. Okay, so you see we actually have something called a match function here in Python as well, but we've kind of reversed the order. So we actually have the regex coming first and the value coming second. It was swapped in OpenRefine, but that's just the way that this happens to be organized. So basically what I'm saying is if the regular expression matches the value, then I want to print value and the word true. So I want to make sure that it's getting the right thing. And otherwise, I want to say, you know, print value. I think I need to say value plus false, as I did earlier. Because what I want to make sure is that I'm actually testing this correctly, right? That I'm actually getting the correct result. So I'm going to save this and run it. See what we get here. So I'm scrolling back up through. Okay, so I see 4-1, that one's false. That seems right. Maybe instead of printing everything out, I should just print out the tests because that's going to make my life a little bit easier. Oh, now it doesn't like it. So now I'm getting an error, right? Ah, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. It now has what it thinks is an else statement with nothing in it because I only have comments below here. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to say print, and I'm going to put in an empty string so I don't have to look at all that. So this is still kind of tedious, but as I go through, get all the falses, give me something true. Give me a true thing. I'd like to know if my regular expression is working as I think it should. Ah, there we go. There's a true. Awesome. So it looks like things are working okay in terms of my regular expression being applied correctly. So now I just need to kind of tweak this a little bit because, well, what have I done? I've managed to locate the column with phone number in it. Right, that worked. So what's step 3? Use my regex to text whether it has 212. So I've actually done that already. That's great. And now I just need to worry about creating my columns correctly. So I'm going to say I've done that, and now I am completing step 3. So we're going to come back and in just a few minutes, we're going to wrap up the last bits, which is going to be testing whether or not, actually adding that additional column. So we've now done the test. We just haven't quite made sure that we're outputting all of our stuff in a list again. And then, of course, we need to write it to an output file. So kind of a lot going on, I know, but I promise that as we work through this, it's gonna sort of map a bit more directly. So we'll see you back in a few minutes. Yeah, see you then.